I'm going to ask you this too, and I think you started out the conversation saying that you were a little bit frustrated with not having to answer this question. So you wrote this book, How to Fight Racism. If someone is actually listening, they're like, okay, like what does it look like to actually do reconciliation the right way? I think that so many white people will be a part of the conversation and be like, okay, well, now I'm just scared. And so I don't know if I'm going to do this right, if I'm going to do this wrong, am I going to make it worse? What does it look like for someone to enter into this, like, quote unquote, the right way?
So part of it is building our awareness. And my contention is that diversity is a byproduct of justice and not the other way around. So what's happened in the modern racial reconciliation movement among Christians is this push for diverse churches, diverse Christian ministries. That's good, but that shouldn't be the goal necessarily. Maybe a goal. But what I've experienced is in fellowships that make diversity the thing, right? Mm-hmm. You get that. But in order to keep that, you have to avoid any sort of subject or dialogue which might cause division, because then you're going to lose your diversity. And so it becomes this sort of rush to the middle about a lot of issues. And I was in a multi-ethnic church around 2015, 2016 in the presidential election. And what became so readily apparent is that in spite of the fact that we sat next to each other in the pews, that we were in Sunday school together, that we may even hang out, you know, and socialize together a little, not much, that when it came to politics, which is really about sort of public priorities and how we relate to one another, we had a massive chasm between Black people and white people, between white people and other people of color. And we never got to it because to do so would jeopardize that diversity that we'd worked so hard to cultivate. But what if we had made justice the focal point? Because what that does is say, you know, a church that's committed to bettering the city in whatever way. So it's committed to, you know, fully funding public education, for example, right? As a Black person coming into that space, even if it's predominantly white, I know that they understand my struggles and some of the issues that my community faces. And it's going to be easier to be part of that community than one that is committed sort of broadly to diversity, but avoids those issues of public justice, right? So that's probably pretty far afield of your original question. But when you talk about doing racial reconciliation right, I use the word, I don't abandon the word reconciliation because that's a Bible word, right? And Jesus talks about we have the ministry of reconciliation. So I still use that word, but when it comes to talking about this topic, I much more frequently use the term racial justice in the subtitle of the book, because I want people to understand racial reconciliation is a part of a bigger picture of moving toward justice and equity. So how do we do it right? Aim for justice, and you're going to get that reconciliation part.
That's good. I've never actually heard the flip, because if I could just re-say what you're saying and make sure I understand it, you're saying if we just diversify and just put, you know, different people together so that we are diversified, but we don't have a common goal of justice, then we're going to lose then we're going to lose everything we had. That's basically what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Okay.